guys. Just want to share some thoughts that I had going through my mind while I was driving and just really processing a lot of stuff that I've been experiencing lately. In my last video, I mentioned how I've gone through this huge transformation over the last few years, and that I kind of like really went through some dark times. And I think about how, you know, if you're trying to improve yourself, if I'm trying to improve myself, my mentality is to think, how can I change myself? But the funny thing is, change is inevitable. Change is going to happen whether I want it to or not. Life will change me. So it's not really that I have to change. It's that I have to learn where I want my energy to go, where I want my focus to go, what I want to matter to me. I'm going to change no matter what. I can't control that. And that's a truth. That's my powerlessness. Life will change me. I mean, literally my body changes without my control constantly. You know, everything does. Your mind, I mean, the way you see the world. So one thing that is really easy to have happen as you get older is to sort of like get old in a spirit way before your body does. I've felt that as I've aged, you know, like just from the heartache or the challenges or the way that you look at the world, and I see I'm trying to use the word I rather than you, because when I say you, it sounds like I'm talking to you, but really I'm talking from my experience, and I don't want to come across that way as if I'm being preachy or anything. You know, everything in my life is a me experience, so all that I have to offer is from my perspective. Anyways, so if I am looking at the world and kind of becoming bitter and worn down and tired and all of these things, then I become old in my spirit before I ever become old in my body. And I mean, it's basically not the way to live for me, you know? Like, what's the point? I might as well try to live as fully as I can while I'm here on this planet. So that's been my goal, and it's been a healing journey along the way. But I think, again, going back to trying to change myself, you know, the one mistake that I don't want to make in life is to stop being open-minded, to stop being willing to believe in something positive, something better for myself, for others. The inability to budge on my opinion. So and the inability to be honest with myself. I need those things in my life. And again, if, you know, life is going to change me, and if I let it, it will harden me. It will make me not want to budge. It will make me become resentful. It will make me angry or hurt or closed off from the world, because there's a lot of shit that happens, and life is not easy, and it's often painful, and often the people that we love the most either hurt us or leave us, or a lot of shit happens. There are a lot of people suffering, you know. I mean, anyone that tells you differently is not being very real with themselves. And I'm not saying life can't be happy, but there's a lot of hard stuff that we go through. So if I let life, it can harden me and change me in a way in which it closes me off from experiencing life to its fullest potential. I think we get so, like, I get so easily focused in one way of seeing life. And the problem with that is, as I grow older and life is informing me of this is how life is, if I stay really hardened in this one perspective, then I will not be able to see everything around me or the opportunities around me. My eyes will be closed to those things. And honestly, it's not a mature or truthful way of seeing life. Because the truth is, there are a million, more than I could ever count, scenarios that could play out in my life and everyone else's. And I don't know exactly what those are going to be. Yeah, there's a lot of probabilities for things that are greater than others, but there's always the chance for that wild card to show up and it turn out exactly in a way that I would have never freaking guessed. You know, that's been the only surety in my life, the only 100% constant thing in my life, is that no matter what, life is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. It doesn't turn out exactly how I think it will. Sure, there are things that happen that I expect, but I cannot predict it on 100% accurate level. There's so many factors that I don't know about. And then again, that random wild card that can completely change the thing. One slight change and the future is completely different. So in that regard, if I become pessimistic and I start expecting life to turn out bad all the time, then I will be blind to opportunities because I will not be willing to look at them. Or if they could be there staring me in the face, but because I've already come to the conclusion that they don't exist, I'm not going to see them. I mean, there's studies done where if you're trying to look for a certain color in a room, you will see all the colors that you will look around the room. If you're looking for green, you're going to see it everywhere. Whereas before you didn't even notice it. And you may even see a color that's not actually green, but you'll tell your brain this is green because you want to see that color. Our brain is really amazing at what it focuses on. It's the same thing as when you buy a new car. And I actually heard this from Tony Robbins, who's a motivational speaker. But, you know, like you're buying a new car and you start driving around, all of a sudden you just keep noticing them everywhere. Well, they've been there the whole time. You just didn't notice them before. Our brain is really good at doing that. So if my focus is on how everything is a certain way, that's all I'm going to see, whether it's negative or positive. My brain doesn't really care about that. It doesn't understand that I want the positive things. It is going to go with my focus wherever I set my attention to. And it's a powerful tool. So it's kind of important for me to show it and lead it in the direction that I'm looking for it to go. And that doesn't mean that I need to be positive all the time. Again, what I've kind of been coming to is trying to not have as many expectations on things as I can. Being willing, being humble, being teachable, and loving myself, knowing my boundaries, but also being honest, being truthful. So that kind of covers just about any situation I come in contact with. And remaining with having a spiritual connection. You know, it's very important for me to have that. And part of that looks like me having a community of people around me to kind of call me on my bullshit sometimes. But, you know, it's so important to have that. God, it's so important because as truthful as I want to be, sometimes my brain, my mechanisms of dealing with reality are not going to let me look at shit. And I need somebody to call me on it. Or I have blinders. You know, I just can't see it. So I need these people in my life to be like, look at this. All of those things are tools in my toolkit to have a better, more authentic life that I'm thriving, not just surviving from. Because to me, if I'm going to be soul and emotional and basically the only part of me that is not dead is my physical body, that there's no point to live. And I don't really care how dark that sounds. Wow, it is really pouring down raining right now. But anyways, I'll cut the video short because of this. The whole point of living for me is to really live, not just to physically live. So again, Do not let life make me hard and cold and unresponsive to life around me. I have to remember, I don't have it all figured out. Anything can happen, like a random rainstorm when I'm trying to record a video. You know, spontaneity is part of life too. You gotta be able to trust that anything can happen. And for me, that's a great thing. For me, it's a freeing thing. But anyways, again, I'm gonna go because you probably can't even hear me. Bye.